Gregg, Maya, and Betty are not experts, nor do they claim to be. They're just a bunch of nerds who enjoy talking about movies, shows, and current events. So sit back, grab a coffee, relax, and enjoy a brand new episode of All Queued Up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of All Queued Up, the review podcast tied to streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, Disney Plus, etc., etc., etc. I'm your host, Greg Dietz, and with me always is Maya Don Fisher and Betty Badger. How are you two doing today?
I'm doing good, and I have some news. Coming January, I am going to start quitting smoking.
Hey!
Yay for me! Yeah, I'm the only one left in the house now that smokes, so it's going to be much easier for me to do this. I've done it before. I can do it again, and I am super pumped. So that's my news. How are you, Mai?
I'm here.
We love you.
I'm here. This is my least favorite week of the year, so I'll be happy when it's over.
All right, well, being here is more than enough, so. Well,
so are you gonna be like murdery, ragey those first few days?
Oh, no. Like the first time I quit, I was pregnant. And
I was like, what?
What I did is, I tapered down. I would take a cigarette away each day, and I would, spread them out throughout the day until I finally got down to the last cigarette. And I spent a weekend in my room with stacks of candy and Netflix on my computer or something on my computer. I was watching shit on my computer. And then after those 2 days, I was fine. Yeah. So, I mean, I do smoke cloves now. I did get a vape with a very low nicotine count to help me out because I do smoke in the house. But I'm going to stop that. Going to be going outside. If I want a real cigarette, the vape's going to be inside only. And hopefully by February, I will be off the cigarettes and the vape.
Good luck.
Yeah. I can say that, like, with the whole, like, me eating better because of food is my addiction. It just is. I just eat when I eat when I'm not hungry. Yada, 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 whatever. And the thing that I've noticed that I've looked, like, literally I looked into how people who were quitting smoking were trying to do that. It was a lot of little tricks, little things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And for me doing it the first time, cutting down, I did have a lot of lollipops. Lots and lots of lollipops. So they didn't have babies back then, But it was very easy for me because I was pregnant. I couldn't force that upon my unborn child because that's my body and I was housing her body. So it wasn't fair to her. So I quit. And I quit for about 4 years. Got around Heather and I started smoking again. So, but I do smoke cloves at the moment. So I don't get as much nicotine. It's just more of a habit, a stress thing, So, and now that I'm a little more stress free, it should be easier for me to get this done. I'm not going to have anybody in my way to stop me. So, yay. And I'm going to start exercising a little more because I have gained COVID 50, not 19, 50. I'm just like, what the fuck? So, yeah. My fat ass is going to be playing some tennis or something. What about you, Greg?
I'm doing all right. I decided to watch a show this week. I was telling you two about it before we recorded. Ted Lasso on Amazon TV or Jesus Christ, Apple Plus TV or whatever the fuck it is. I had a week free, and so I decided to watch it. And while I was watching it, I was like, getting Apple TV is a pain in the ass, especially if you don't have Apple products, and which I don't. But they recently put an app on the PlayStation and the Xbox, and I guess Roku, but whatever. And I was like, fuck it, I'll watch it. I'll watch the whole thing. And it was just 10 episodes and it was fantastic. But it got me thinking, like, there are shows that each of us watch that the other ones don't. So for example, Betty watched the entire series of Utopia on, is it Hulu? Is that on?
It's on Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Okay, it's on Prime. And she really wanted us to review it for the show, but like between our lives and the discussion episodes that we want to do, and we don't want to try to bog each other down and whatnot with other things, I came up with the idea of just doing short form reviews, individual reviews, if you will, for the YouTube channel. So starting next year, we're going to, when we want to, and they're not going to be fucking heavy-handed or edited or anything like that. It's just us talking about the show.
It's a long time away, man.
So long.
Technically this episode publishes New Year's Day, so it is the next year.
True.
Fair point.
So
this year,
2021, this year. Not 2022 next year. 2021.
Our audience should know at this point that we record 2 days before it goes live. So
it might be a new person.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So starting in January, starting this month, I want to have us just do like 5-10 minute videos that put on the YouTube channel. No editing, just us sitting down and going like, hey, so we think the show, you might be interested in. And that also leaves us room to kind of review things that maybe all three of us are interested in for the podcast versus just one of us is interested in, So that's, look forward to that. I'm going to be reviewing Ted Lasso. I want Betty to review Utopia. She can do whatever she wants, though. I'm not her handler.
Damn straight I can.
And Maya, inadvertently, due to my mistake, watched We Can Be Heroes. So maybe she can do that. I don't know.
Don't give me extra work.
It wouldn't be too much extra work because it's just recording a video and uploading it. But I get where you're coming from. But yeah, I wanted to give our audience the heads up that we're going to be uploading extra reviews on the YouTube channel. With that being said, today we're talking about 3 different things. We're going to be talking about episode 2 of The Stand, the newest Pixar film Soul, and the newest DC movie Wonder Woman 1984. Both of which those movies came out Christmas Day. So did We Can Be Heroes, but I thought it was coming out on the 1st. And I was like, oh, it did come out on Christmas, so whatever. But
what was funny, Greg's like, can we add this? And I'm like, we already got 3 things. It's just a movie. I was like, all right. I watched it. Oh my God, you son of a bitch.
Well, the conversation that we had was, from the way that I took it, was that we weren't going to do it.
I take it you're unhappy because you didn't like it.
I mean, I'm just going to put this out there. I love Robert Rodriguez. He's one of my favorite directors, but not every director can hit a home run every time.
That's all right.
His movies aren't for everybody, but this is a movie aimed for fucking 7 and 8-year-olds, and I don't know if my 7 or 8-year-old self would have even liked it at all. I mean, it was bad. I mean, if you got kids and you're looking for a family film, watch it with them, I guess. There.
Okay, I see how the wires got crossed in our group chat, because I said that I didn't want to add it to next week because we have a discussion we want to bring up next week, and then I said, but if not, it's cool. No worries. And Maya, you said we'll get her input and see what she says, and all Betty said was okay.
That's all Betty ever says. Okay, again, I need to start writing this shit down. I've got a journal sitting right here. Yeah, I really need to start writing this shit down because, this week was busy, man. I mean, we do social distance, but it's like my parents wanted to see us, so we went to my shop because it's much easier to social distance there because my house is so small. So yeah, I mean, we've been super busy, and I've been super tired, and I don't think I've eaten since Saturday. So yeah,
Jesus.
Wow.
that's my stress thing. When I'm stressed, I don't eat. I have no desire for food whatsoever.
Can I have that? Because like I stress eat.
You think it'd be great, but I am still fat. So I mean,
Let's give some of our things to each other, so that way I don't eat as much when I'm stressed, and you eat a little bit more when you're stressed.
yeah, because it really upsets Jeff. And bless his heart, he's like, "Have you eaten today?" And I'm like, "What? No." I mean, I am I gonna lie? No, I haven't eaten today. I'm not hungry. But when I get hungry, you're gonna know it because I get hangry real quick. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, once the season's over, I'll be back to normal. I'll be back to eating my cow with cheese or some shit.
Yeah, we've established that the 2 weeks at the end of December are really fucking garbage. So, for a lot of reasons, I hate it. That being said, my parents really did have a nice Christmas.
Did they?
Yeah, my mom just likes to make food. So she got to make all the Christmas stuff that she wanted, and I helped her put up a few decorations because she really likes it. And then my dad was all relaxed, and he was having a good day, and we got to have a conference call with my brothers. And as much as I'm not the world's biggest fan of that, they loved it. They were like, "Oh, my kids in one spot." So, and that's all they cared about. Yeah. And that's kind of like a solid 75% of my life right now is just making sure my parents are comfortable. But
that sounds ominous with the way you put it.
Does it?
Yeah. Making sure they're comfortable. Oh my God.
Making sure they're.
Well, Jesus Christ, when our kids grow up, I hope they might want to see us be comfortable too.
Just take me out in the yard and tell me to look at the flowers and end it.
Look at the pretty flowers. Nah. I love that scene though, man. Love that fucking scene. That was amazing. But yeah, nah. It's like I always remind my dad, remember, you need to be nice to me because I'm going to pick who wipes your ass when you get old.
My dad has made the joke about a long time ago where he's like, if I get to the point, Greg, where you can't afford to take care of me and I'm just like a burden on your life, just, tell me to or how do you say that? He goes, just ask me to tell you about the rabbits is what he said. And I'm like, oh my God, Dad.
What?
Ask me to tell you about the rabbits.
Yeah, that's where the whole look at the flowers comes from, of Mice and Men.
Oh, I was thinking of Walking Dead when Carol shoots the little girl Lizzie.
See, they stole that scene from Of Mice and Men.
Yeah, it's a little kid. Look at the pretty flowers. Bang. And
she was a terror.
She was crazy. She was fucking nuts. She needed to be taken out, But she's a great actress. She's gone on to do lots of other stuff. So she's really good.
Back in high school, my mom, we had to watch. I think we were reading Of Mice and Men at the time, and we decided to watch the Gary Sinise one. With John
Malkovich plays Lenny.
Yes, and that was the first time my mom had ever seen / read the story. So at that scene in the woods where he's just like, "Tell me about the rabbits, George," and mom's just fucking bawling. So now what Josh and I like to do from time to time is we'll just make a joke about that. We're just like, "Hey, Mom, tell us about the rabbits," and she's like, "Shut the fuck up."
Oh man, you're mean. You're mean.
We all are. We all fuck with each other. I mean, look, when I was growing up, and I was a clumsy kid growing up, anytime I would fall over, my mom would just start laughing. Like, she was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yep." And she's like, "Then that was hilarious." I'm like, "Okay, got it. Thanks."
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, I will always make sure, "Are you okay?" And then I will laugh my fucking ass off.
I kind of do it simultaneously. I laugh ask.
Yeah, it's a lot of like, are you okay? It's that.
Yeah.
It's like the first time my sister was pregnant. She's about 6 months pregnant, and she fell off her chair, and she's sitting there with a shocked look on her face, and I'm just busting out laughing. Are you okay? Oh, I mean, it was hilarious. Her face just priceless. And of course, she was off balance, man. You're 6 months pregnant. That shit happens. Siblings, they're so much fun.
Oh yeah.
So anyways, what are we going to talk about first?
We're going to talk about The Stand episode 2.
Okay, y'all go for it.
Yeah. So before we get into this, what I think is really interesting to me, my dad, so my mom, she owns The Stand. I know that she owns the book, but she's never read it. She's never read it. So she's actually going to go through all our books here soon and try to find it. And we think that she might have a 1970s copy, the one that's like 200 pages shorter.
Yeah.
If that's the case, that'll be interesting. But I'd love to get like the rematched or version that came out in the 90s.
Yeah, I had the old version. Thrift store.
Gotcha. But my dad remembers the fucking story really well.
Yeah, I remember the story well. Unfortunately, yes, I'm going to admit, audience, I forgot about this week. I did not get to watch it. So, but I am going to follow along. I do know this story fairly well because I'm a Stephen King fan. I'm a stan. So, yeah. But I am admitting I did not watch this, but I am going to follow along and make comments where I can. So, let's go.
I made the terrible mistake during this episode of making my dinner and paying attention to something else that had my attention. So I missed like this show does a very clever thing of like, if you look away for 10 seconds, you might miss some pivotal information. And I did that twice. So I missed some big fucking things that were important to like know of certain characters. And I had to have my parents.
You do know there's a fucking skip forward and rewind.
No. What I'm getting at is that it wasn't that. It was that after the episode ended. So a little bit of a spoiler alert to kind of give you context what the fuck I'm talking about. When at the end of the episode, when Flag gives Lloyd the I think his name was Lloyd.
Yeah.
When he gives him the gem,
the
stone or whatever the fuck it was.
It's an infinity stone.
Yeah, it's the mind stone of them. Is it mind? What was the red one? Anyway, it doesn't fucking matter. The joke's passed. When he gives him that, my mom just goes, "I knew it," and I'm like, "You knew that Flag was going to like recruit him? Like, what are you talking about?" So after everything was over, I was like, "What do you mean by you knew it?" And she goes, "I knew he was going to give him a gem." And I was like, "Well, I knew that like something like that was going to happen too, but like, what are you talking about?" She goes, "Well, it was the same thing that other girl had." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I missed that entirely. That
was a whole very flash glimpse away. You'll miss it. Subtle clue, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I missed that entirely because I was
okay.
Yeah, and there was like two other scenes in the whole episode that I missed. The girl ODing on pills. I missed that scene.
Well, it didn't actually show her OD. It showed her taking handfuls of pills and swinging copious amounts of alcohol to wash them down with.
Gotcha. Okay,
but it didn't actually show her on-screen death or anything.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, I missed that. I missed, and the other scene I missed was like in the beginning when it's Nadine, the little kid Joe, and another character.
Larry Underwood.
It might have been, but they're walking down a street talking about things.
Oh no, that's when they were when they got to Boulder.
Yeah, I missed that.
Okay.
I missed that conversation. So
okay, that's just talking to Fran.
Yeah, that's what my mom and dad were telling me. And what was funny was they weren't using names or like actors' names. They just kept saying like like Nadine and Franny, and I'm just like, I don't know the fuck you're talking about because I'm terrible with names. So,
well, one of the things I don't like about Stephen King is he's still using names from the 50s and 60s for his characters. It's like, dude, update it, okay? People don't name their kids Fran anymore, all right?
Yeah.
You know?
They do.
Not really.
I know 7.
Well, that's because we live in fucking Appalachia, okay? I mean, come on. We have people we know called Billy Bob. You know, you're not going to find that in most other parts of this country. So
yeah, there aren't a lot of people in California that have 2 first names. So there's that.
You know, I mean, 2 first names is very common in Appalachia.
But yeah, it was very much that, and we made an agreement that all 3 of us were going to put our phones away, make sure that we had whatever food we needed before we watched, and that the girls, Scarlett and Kaylee, were in their fucking beds and not bothering us for this 1 hour of our lives. Because like I was so like, what do you mean this? And who is this? And what are you talking about? Like, I was so confused. And then
Wait a minute, your dogs have beds?
Oh yeah, they're spoiled fucking rotten.
Oh wow. Well, I mean, we've got like dog beds on the floor, but Milo sleeps on the fucking couch, man.
Oh, that's what we're talking about. Like they have 2 little dog beds and Raider blankets that they curl up in.
Did you think she meant fucking twin size beds, you numb nuts?
Well, I mean, I'm like, I don't know. Some people get really, into their pets. You never know. They might have little princess beds for all I know.
No, I was talking about.
I mean, I look at Milo and I'm like, get on the couch, and he looks at me and says, "Fuck you, bitch," and jumps on the chair. So
no, I get that. I get what you were saying. They got beds, because you've tried to give them beds and he sleeps on the couch, but Greg's like, no, they're dog beds. I'm like, of course they're dog beds.
Little princess bed.
Well, she was surprised, like they have beds, and I was like, well, they have like 2 little beds on the ground. Like I don't know what's weird about that. Like it sounded strange. That's why
I wish my fucking dogs would sleep in their beds.
Oh, gotcha.
They used to sleep with us, but our French bulldog snores too much. He sounds like a freight train. Little French bulldog.
Like, a lot of my friends don't have dog beds for their dogs. Their dogs just sleep in the bed with them or sleep on the couch downstairs. So that's why it's not a super fucking common thing that I see that people give their tiny dogs individual dog beds.
No, there ain't no cats in our room. There ain't no dogs in our room. We do not allow creatures in our room when I'm trying to sleep, because fuck you, I will kill you if you interrupt me while I'm sleeping.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, when I have an animal in my bed, I don't sleep.
As like Lydia, I had to put her. Well, we had her crib. We had her crib next to us with the open, so she was right there. But I eventually had to put her in her own room because that kid was kicking me in the stomach in the middle of the night. I was like, I can't deal with this shit, I mean, I really prefer to sleep alone. So yeah, did y'all? I mean. Did they leave you alone? Did you get to enjoy it?
Well, yeah, for the most part. I just also made my dinner while I was doing it. I got a message from somebody, and I was trying to contact them about what was going on, and then of course the like Scarlett heard something outside, and she needed a growl for fucking 30 minutes. So it was.
Don't you love that?
So like this next episode, we're not going to allow that, because I can't sit there and be like, wait, what did this character do? Why is there 3 fucking blonde women that look very similar? I don't understand. So.
All blonde women look similar?
All white people look the same.
Right.
But yeah, so it was just a small problem for me, but I will argue this. My only complaint about this episode is that, and maybe it's just the structure of how the show works, we don't need to spend so much time in the past. We really don't.
Okay. I'm going to explain to you why we're spending time in the past, because it sets up what's going to happen in the future. It says a lot about these characters and their personalities, and, they can go either way. But their past is going to play a very big part in which path they decide to choose. That's why.
It's relevant.
I know. I understand that it's relevant. It just feels like when a solid fucking 75 minutes of the episode is spent in the past, I don't think it's as necessary as maybe they deem it is.
They're trying to explain to you, you know, this is what this character is. This is what they're like. This is things that influence them. I mean, you're not going to see much more of that because it's 9 episodes. You know, they're just trying to get it out of the way so you can understand this is what set these people up to be these types of characters. But it will play a very large part in what happens in the future.
Totally gather that. In
the future, they won't be showing shit tons of, you know, this happened in the past.
Let me put it this way. There are ways that they filmed this show that I think are unimportant to me understanding the character's past. For example, a minute-long sex scene.
Yeah.
Don't see that necessary. Like, what point does that give me as a viewer to understand Larry's character? That he likes sex? So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. It just seemed like it was more than was necessary, specifically for Larry. For Lloyd, the guy that's in prison right now, or was at this point, the way they told his made like that was perfect. The length of that was just right. But for fucking Larry, it was like,
You'll get more with Lloyd later, but you know, Larry's stuff was pretty important.
I don't think.
Yeah, it'll come together and it will make sense, and then you'll go, "Oh, now I understand why they did this."
We also have to remember Gregg's the kind of person who likes as few words as possible on a page. So the less you give him, the more he is happy.
Hey, just get to what's important. That's all. I mean, I get character development, man. Like it's not a situation where what was told was necessarily bad. I just felt like this episode was more backstory than it was anything else, and I don't feel that was conducive to me enjoying the episode as much. That might be why I was so easily distracted too. Like, I want to know more about the other characters that are involved. I want to know more about them, and it was like, why was it as important to see certain aspects of Larry's past? Like the stuff about him before his mom died, and then like that scene after made sense. But before that, we got to see him at the club, like playing a song and the guy angry at him. And I'm like, why was that so long? Why did that need to be as long as it was? It just felt like a lot of time wasted. It just really did.
Okay.
I mean, next week it's going to be the same. You know, it's going to be introducing probably Nick Andros and Tom Cullen.
And you're going to have a lot of past scenes giving you insight into their character. But I'd say probably by episode 5, we should be done with any past scenes for the most part.
Again, I'm not saying that looking into the past is a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, I don't think as much time needs to be spent.
Yeah,
it feels
but
like it's more of he
draws shit out.
He didn't make the show either. He's just an executive producer.
Oh, I know, but his stories are very drawn out in certain aspects.
They're
ground on about things.
They're making a 9-episode series out of an 1,152-page book,
which is another reason I say what I'm saying. Like, you don't have as much time as maybe you could. Like, you could speed things up a bit. It just feels like it's extra time that could be used elsewhere. We could be learning about multiple characters in one episode instead of just Larry.
What you got against Larry? I'm joking.
you learned about Larry. You learned about Lloyd. You learned a little bit, but not much about Nadine.
See,
a little bit, but not much about Joe. You're introduced briefly to Nick Andros. But you'll probably see his backstory next week. You know, probably meet Tom Cullen next week, probably Ralph. And you're probably going to start to see probably Trash Can Man next week.
Trash Can Man.
See, and my problem is that we could have gotten more on certain characters this week if we didn't spend so much time on Larry.
There's 9 episodes. In hindsight,
you are just hating on Larry, man.
I'm not hating on Larry. I'm hating on Larry.
You're hating on Larry. You're hating on Larry. We know it.
You two stop it.
Well, here's
Larry
the thing.
hater.
9 episodes. It's going to be 9 episodes, 9 hours long. This episode was like an hour and 5 minutes, but they're going to take their time to do it right. I'm sorry that you hate backstory.
Mountain, Charlie.
Again, you're taking my words out of context. I didn't say backstory is bad. I didn't say don't tell me anybody's backstory. What I'm saying is
you found his backstory boring, and you feel like they spent too much time on it.
The episode was 75% Larry. Why couldn't it have been 50% Larry's background?
Because he plays a very important role in the future. I
understand that. The conversation between him and I can't think of the character's name, but he was in the military bunker in the first episode.
Stu Redman.
Okay, I was trying to think of the actor's name.
James Marsden.
James Marsden. His conversation with Larry on the way to Fremantle's camp expressed all I needed to know about his importance to everything. And also the fact that he keeps having visions where Flag wants him. Like, clearly that told me enough to his importance. So having 75% of the episode be about Larry's background seemed a little unnecessary.
But see, being told that someone's important versus being shown what this person is all about and what they're like, those are two different things. And they don't have to coincide with, they don't have to line up with each other. Like, I don't know, man. I thought it was fine. I didn't have a problem with it at all. I like seeing the fleshed out, drawn out. Do what?
It was too much for me. It was a little boring. It was a little boring, straight up. It was like a lot of the conversations that he has with Rita were a lot. There were just a lot. I was like, okay, what's the absolute point of this? And that's the thing. I see what they're trying to show. I see what they're trying to get at, the importance of certain shots, the importance of certain things. I do that very well when I watch things. Could not figure out the reason I needed to see a whole conversation about the guy that's jacking off on fucking home plate at Yankee Field. Why? Like, what was necessary for that? To show that he's a nice guy? I get that.
Absolutely.
Like, it's just to me, when a movie or a TV show doesn't move the plot along because they're trying to build character, I don't enjoy that. I think that you can tell a story by giving the right amount of information while moving the plot along.
Well, what's the right amount of information for you is not the right amount of information for somebody else.
I didn't say that. I this is my opinion. I'm not saying that you guys agree with me.
I know. I'm just saying. I thought it was fun.
All right, so time to grade it and move on.
Gregg hates Larry, so he's going to give it a D.
I'm just the absolute fucking worst.
Just fucking with you.
No, the episode's a B. It's a solid B. Again, it's a lot of like it's throwing a lot of characters at me right now that I'm not going to remember right away because they're not giving enough information about them. It feels like that type of show where each episode is centered around one character instead of a multitude of characters. And episode 1 was kind of the same thing, but I feel like in episode 1 it was a little bit more spaced out between James Marsden character and the other kid that was like kind of weird.
Harold Lauder.
Harold, thank you. It felt like it was more spaced out between those two. And this episode was like, it was mostly Larry. And I was like, why is it not equaled out? So that was my complaint about it. But other than that, I'm still interested in the show. I'm still interested in where the story's going to go. I don't know where it's going to go.
So you've never seen the original miniseries?
We established that last week.
I don't remember. That was weeks ago.
No, I've never watched the original because I was too young and I never went back and watched it. And then I never read the book because I don't know Stephen King. So
okay, all right, you're gonna be pissed.
I'm gonna be pissed.
You're gonna be so pissed.
Why?
Because you're gonna get more of the same next week.
Again, no. I don't know how I'm saying this to the point where I'm being misunderstood.
Oh, I understand you just fine. I'm just giving you shit.
Yeah.
God damn it, Maya.
I mean, I thought it was a solid episode. I thought it was really, really good. I give it an A. Really loved all the backstory with Larry and showing his plot and having to, what happened when the pandemic came about and how quickly it onset around everybody, and it just threw his world into upheaval, and how he was trying to get out of New York with Rita. That was fascinating to me, especially seeing it updated for modern times, because originally this was set in 1980, then revamped, back in 1990 to be updated for 1990. This is a 2020 telling of it, so seeing him navigate the sewers of New York in waist-deep water with his GPS trying to get it to work, carrying a sack full of drugs around, that shit was amusing to me. It's like, how bad do you want those drugs versus that phone? And you saw what happened. He loses his phone. I just, shit like that, little things like that, the idiosyncrasies that fucking make up the character. I love shit like that. I eat it up. I could take it all day long. And I know you don't. But yeah, for me it was right up my alley. I loved it. As an A.
I just want more characters. That's all. Like I want more characters that are taking the center stage instead of just one. That's all. That's literally it. Simple as it gets. I feel like what I'm saying is just it constantly is getting. I'm being told I'm wrong, and I'm not sure how to take it. So
I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm cracking on you because I just think it's a weird thing to, not enjoy how the story is structured.
But he doesn't know. He's not read the story. He's not seen the original miniseries. So, he's allowed to feel this way, and he's likely to change his mind later on, but he might not, and that's okay. You don't have to like everything.
Again, I think the episode 1 was structured differently than episode 2, and I liked how episode 1 was structured versus episode 2.
Okay. I mean, I didn't feel they were that different myself, but
it was 2 characters that we saw primarily in episode 1, and it was like a solid 50-50. This was 2 characters we saw in episode 2 primarily, and it was a solid 25-75. And I would just would like that to not be the case. So that's all.
Okay.
Okay, so Betty, you're gonna I'll message you to remind you to watch it.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to write it down.
Is it every Thursday or Friday?
Every Thursday.
Thursday, okay.
Yeah.
Because I completely fucking spaced about it until like yesterday.
Yeah, because I usually try to wait until closer to filming, so it'll be fresh in my mind, and that's what we did with with The Mandalorian, and then we did it with Soul and Wonder Woman, and just The Stand. I don't know how it just completely passed me by.
Yeah, I was really excited about Soul because I love Pixar films. Prided myself on seeing every single one in the theater.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then this year was like, nope, think again, motherfucker.
It's like I do like their the 3D ones that they have, because the new polarized, I don't know what kind of lenses they're using. Even though I'm stereo blind, it does have a 3D effect for me. So it's kind of strange. And I find it very fascinating and fun. So yeah, it's a little weird, but like the old blue and red ones don't work at all.
No, those give me a headache. I mean, regular 3D also gives me a headache because one of my eyes is lazy. So when there's two different things to focus on, that's supposed to be one in my brain. My eyes like to drift, and it becomes two things again. So I'm like,
But I thought Soul was actually pretty good.
I fucking loved this movie.
I mean, the premise was good. You know, I don't know. I mean, it's a good Pixar movie.
So Maya and I had a funny conversation prior to her watching it. So you said you got through it, Maya, right?
Yeah, we watched it last night.
Okay.
I just put it off because at the time I wasn't in the mood to watch anything like that. I was in a not great mood.
Understandable.
And I needed something. So I didn't know what I needed, but it wasn't that at the time. And it's a good thing I didn't watch it at the time.
Fair enough. The funny conversation that we had that I thought was really funny was that Maya doesn't really like jazz.
I don't either. I hate it.
I hate jazz. I'm sorry. You're a pretentious motherfucker on purpose if you claim to like jazz.
I mean, I know some people do.
A lot. that's a heavy wording you put there. I don't dislike jazz. It's not, what I go for. It's not like I'm like putting on jazz on Spotify or some shit, but when it's used in a movie or something like that, it never bothers me. And so the funny thing the conversation that made me laugh was Maya was like, I can't watch this right now. I don't want to fucking listen to jazz. Like this is rough. And I'm like, and I laugh because my dad also hates jazz. Just FYI, he also fucking hates jazz.
It's cacophonous. I can't stand it.
It's fine. It's fine.
Much.
Totally fine to not like jazz. I'm not criticizing anybody for not liking jazz. It made me laugh because Mike goes, I have an idea. And I responded with, you can't mute the whole movie. And she goes, damn it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but
I could have watched it with subtitles. No, I'd also spent the entire past week before that playing L.A. Noire, and I love that game. It was the first time I played it in like 7 years since, the game's 9 years old, but I got the remastered version, and I was playing through that. And a lot of the music in that is like a jazz soundtrack and score, very 1930s, 40s-esque kind of music. And it's fine for the game because there's so much going on, it doesn't really overpower the game. But after I finished playing it, I was like, I'm goddamn done with some fucking horns and some drums. I don't want to hear any jazz right now. But yeah, I've been playing Jedi Fallen Order for the past 3 days, and
fantastic game.
Oh my God, I can't put it down. Slept like 4 hours the past 2 nights. Stayed up so late playing it. But yeah, I watched it. Misty and I watched it about 9:30 last night. She really enjoyed it. I liked it too. I mean, it's a bummer of a movie.
I found it hopeful.
I thought it was, well, in a way, yeah. I mean, it was sweet, sentimental, optimistic. I mean, and he did the right thing. He learned a lesson, and all was good.
I think a lot of people, in general, do exactly what he was envisioning, and that's looking for a purpose, looking for that thing that you're supposed to be on Earth for. And something that I've personally learned over the past few years is that that's not what life is.
No, it's not.
Life is just about living, period. Just, be here. That's it. That's all anybody wants and asks of you, is to just be here. if you find that thing that makes you happy and you do that thing, then keep doing that thing. But there's no such thing as a purpose. And for a movie to kind of show that in an emotional stance was something that resonated with me. And hit me like a ton of bricks because my dad was just looking over at me like, "Are you really crying?" And I'm like, "Yes, it's emotional."
Aww.
So, I mean, I get if you didn't. I know a lot of people.
Oh,
didn't.
no, I did. Of course I did. I'm a girl, but, you know, I love it when guys cry because, yeah, y'all have emotions too. And I like it when y'all show it. So,
Oh, I'm an emotional bitch when it comes to certain things. Like, again, I cried at the last scene in Mandalorian. I cried 3 times during Ted Lasso. So that's me in a nutshell. But yeah, when he goes back to
Well,
what's up?
before you throw out any spoilers, should we tell them what the movie's about?
Yeah, I guess so.
yeah, synopsis, Maya.
It focuses on Joe Gardner, middle-aged middle school music teacher who substitute teaches band, who is deeply in love with jazz and is looking for his big break. And on the day that he gets an audition with, pardon me, so sorry. On the day that he gets an audition, he gets an audition and just blows their socks off and says, "You're playing with us tonight." He's so excited that he's not watching where he's going and falls in a manhole and dies. And basically it's his soul trying to not go to the great beyond and try to get back to his body. And in doing so, he goes to the great before, where all new souls are created, and meets soul number 22, a soul that had been around for thousands of years, who saw no point in living life and thought it was pointless and boring and just wanted to skip the whole life part and go directly to the great beyond. He poses as a mentor for 22, and they concoct a plan to try to get him back into his body. And, well, it's the whole Freaky Friday thing, you know, switch bodies. His soul doesn't enter his body, hers does. And he ends up in the body of a very fat cat. The part where he went to lick his own asshole, that was pretty funny.
There were a few jokes in this that really got me, like when the Terrys were like looking, like it was that video of them looking at different people, and the one was like, I'm a megalomaniac that wants like the personality of the guy is just, this one's gonna be a handful.
Yeah, that was
like
funny.
Or when Joe goes, last 22, like, why do you sound like a middle-aged woman? Because it's voiced by Tina Fey. That was fucking, oh my god, it was so funny.
And then she's like, my voice just annoys people. This is the one I went with.
Yeah. Fucking fantastic.
I didn't know that it was Tina Fey before I started watching it, and I couldn't place who it was the entire time. I was like, I've heard this person. I didn't know who it was either. I had to look it up. I immediately pulled up my phone and IMDb'd it. Well, I waited until the credits rolled.
I did like the fact that they looked at death and after death in a different way than a lot of movies, I guess.
Yeah.
And that you know, it wasn't solely religious based. You know,
right.
And I liked that, you know, and the reincarnation part of it. I'm sure that probably pissed a lot of people off. But, you know, I thought the whole story itself and learning the lessons that they learned, and, you know, yeah, there is a great beyond, but there's a place in between. And I thought that was really cool.
They Pixar has a great way of making scary things a hell of a lot less scary. A hell of a lot less scary. So I got to give them credit for that, and they succeeded in that with this one. I feel like.
Yeah, but, I think it would be good. You know, I think little kids wouldn't be frightened by it.
No, and anybody that, you know, I think adults, like somebody made a point on Twitter that normally like Disney movies are made for kids in mind, and it really feels like that Soul was not made for kids. It was made for adults, and I get that. I totally get that, because kids aren't thinking about their purpose in life. Kids aren't thinking about like, what am I going to do when I get older? Like, what's death like? Kids aren't really thinking about that kind of thing. Adults are. Just normal adults are thinking about that. So.
You've not met my kid.
Or mine, because Jesus Christ, she was watching King Tut documentaries and mummy documentaries at like 2 and 3 years old. And then she scared the shit out of my stepmom because we had told her about Pet Sematary. She was 5. And I had to have my gallbladder removed. So my stepmom was babysitting while we were at the hospital. And she was back in her room and she had put all of her pets on the floor. And my stepmom came back there and she's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm playing Pet Sematary. They're all dead, but don't worry. They'll come back to life." Oh, she freaked out. She was like, "What is wrong with your child?" I was like, "Nothing."
Yeah, I guess I should clarify about that, because like kids, like she's definitely thinking about death, but not like, I don't know. It's the existential crisis part that I guess I'm referring to. I've never seen a kid deal with existential crisis. And again, I don't have kids, so you know there might have been a situation where one of your kids did, or one of our listeners' kids did. I don't fucking know, but it definitely felt like that this was for adults and not for kids per se. Not that kids couldn't watch it, obviously. It's definitely a family movie, but
I have found a lot of times that you know, cartoons and stuff that people are like, "Oh, that's a kid's movie." They do have very adult jokes in them that fly over kids' head, but we get them because, you know, we're the ones suffering through it, watching it. So they put those little Easter eggs in there for adults so we can chuckle at it. And the kids are like, "What's funny?" And nothing, you know? I mean,
absolutely. Shrek is a prime example of that. Like,
oh, Shrek is amazing.
Eat me.
Yeah.
But yeah, you look at like other, like let's look at other Pixar films. You know, we look at like let's do Toy Story. The theme of Toy Story 1 is all about like self-awareness, essentially. Like, look at Buzz's entire fucking plot thread in that movie. He thinks he's an actual person, then he becomes a toy and comes to terms with the fact he's a toy. And then number 2 is all about like abandonment, and how to deal with like being abandoned or losing somebody you love or something to that effect. Number 3 is about I guess it's also kind of about abandonment, because Andy
Lotso hugging bear is a sumbitch.
I mean, I agree. Wholeheartedly agree.
It's funny because when that movie came out, Madison was 3, and I would have her walking around saying, "That Lotso's a sumbitch."
But yeah, it's just interesting that like the other Pixar movies have similar themes of your purpose and your reasoning and all that kind of stuff, but this one laid it out directly, where the other ones were kind of like, it's there, but it's also a kid's movie. I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I love cartoons. I love Disney movies. Yeah, it's my thing. I do. I enjoy them. I don't care if they're made for kids.
There's literally one Pixar movie I don't like, and I still haven't seen Cars 3. I should clarify that. But
okay, yeah, Cars don't count. That's just no.
I can't stand. I've never even seen the first one.
The first one is good. The first one's fine. It's all about slowing down and smelling the roses. That's the theme of the first one. Like, don't be too quick to move forward. And the theme gets a little ham-fisty with the whole like, he's a race car and he has to actually slow down, like whatever. But
Dude, I hate Larry the Cable Guy. I couldn't do it just because of him.
That isn't a problem for me. I don't like his I don't like his stand-up either, but whatever. They needed a hillbilly sounding guy to play a hillbilly sounding guy, so whatever. And that's another thing about Pixar. They fucking cast perfectly. Like, they always get the right person for the fucking role. Like, who would have thought Craig T. Nelson would have been perfect for, Parr, the dad on Incredibles? But
Me?
Maya. But yeah, that was the thing that to me stood out against Pixar's other film. By the way, Cars 2 is a piece of shit. Just to clarify, that movie's awful. And Good Dinosaur is not really good either. But that's about it with Pixar.
So was it Mediocre Dinosaur?
It was below Mediocre Dinosaur.
Ooh.
Yeah, the movie
That's bad.
it's extremely forgettable and characters are annoying. Like, it's just that's why it sucks. But I digress. The point I was getting at with other Pixar movies is that the theme is usually laid out throughout the film while it still has a plot that kids can just really enjoy without thinking about the heavy themes within the story. Soul didn't seem like that to me. Soul was like, heavy theme the whole time. Enjoy, adults. Again, a kid could watch this differently than I'm giving him credit for, but that's how it felt to me. So
Yeah, I mean, it is different when you're a kid and you watch something versus when you're an adult. I mean, after having a kid and going back and watching some of these things that were classics in our time, I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck is this? Why did we watch this? This is horrible. What were we teaching children? I mean, but when I was 5, I thought it was great, so.
Yeah. I think that's something that I do a lot as an adult now. Like, here's an example. This is going to be really fucking stupid. I swear to God, I apologize. Do you two remember the Super Mario Brothers Super Show?
Do not. When did it come out?
1988.
Yeah. Late 80s.
Yeah, I didn't have a TV.
So
if trust me, if this thing had come on your TV, you would want to throw it out of the house.
It's really bad. Here's the thing. I watched the shit out of it when I was a kid. When it came on TV, I was like 5, 6, 7 years old, right? Love the fucking hell out of it. And I didn't ever see it again after it originally aired on TV. When I was in my late 20s, when I was in my late 20s, I went and I said, what? Like I was collecting DVDs, and I went down to a record store that sold like used DVDs and new DVDs, and I found an entire box set of Super Mario Brothers Super Show. And I said, I'm going to watch this. It's going to be great. It's going to be a nostalgia trip. But I'm also the type of person that when I watch something when I watch something old, I try to put, a different outlook on it to say, like, is this good? One of my favorite things growing up is the original Ninja Turtle show. That show is garbage. And I recognize that, but I still love it. It still has a place in my heart, but I know that it's bad. I didn't have this capability yet with the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, and I watched it, and it's awful. But the reason I'm mentioning it entirely is because there's 2 parts to the show. There's a live action segment where Captain Lou Albano plays Mario and Danny Wells plays Luigi. Those segments are actually, in my opinion, still watchable because they're really silly and over the top, and they're not meant to be anything other than silly and over the top. It's very clear to me that Captain Lou and Danny Wells are just having a lot of fucking fun when it comes to just doing these dumb little bits. It's the animation that sucks because the plots make no fucking sense. The direction of whatever the story is makes no goddamn sense. It's full of puns, and not good puns either. Like, really just awful fucking puns. And the thing that was really interesting to me watching it as an adult was that each episode is actually centered around a film. Like one episode's title isn't even trying to hide it. It's called The Toad Warrior. And yes, the entire episode is to look like Mad Max.
That's weird.
I would have never gotten that as a kid. Not
No.
ever gotten that as a kid. So when I go back and watch movies that I watched as a kid, I definitely say like I didn't see that previously. I didn't know that was a joke previously. I watched a ton of Looney Tunes as a kid. And I'm talking about the ones that were serials in front of movies back in the 30s. Was it the 30s or the 40s? It doesn't matter.
30s, 40s, 50s.
Watching those as a kid to watching those as an adult and having more knowledge to understand the references makes a fucking world of difference.
Oh,
Makes
yeah.
them funnier, too.
Way funnier. And I think the same can be said for Pixar films. You know, like, as a kid, I watched Toy Story and I'm like, ha ha ha, toys talk, ha ha ha. When it first came out, I was pretty young and I didn't look at it from the aspect of like, man, Buzz is going through an existential crisis because like he thought he was a person and now he's a toy and he doesn't know how to handle being a toy and he thinks that he's worthless. Like, I didn't do that as a kid. So I think that when watching Soul, I don't think there's a lot of kids doing that now. I don't think there's kids looking at that and going like, what is my purpose in life? What is after death? Like, I don't think that kids are doing that. And again, I could be wrong. I might have just been an idiot kid. I don't fucking know, but
Sorry.
you okay there? Yeah, you did all right.
I'm just choking. Choking back that comment. I'm just playing.
I know. I was trying to think of a good comeback, but I couldn't think of anything.
It's because you were an idiot kid.
Podcast canceled.
No.
But yeah, that's what I'm getting at when I say what I say about these animations. That in my mind, I don't think there's a lot of kids doing that because I wouldn't have. I would not be watching Soul as a fucking 10-year-old and saying, so Joe's entire like plot thread this movie was like to just live his life and not worry about death, right? Is that a thing? Is that what I'm understanding as a kid? Because as a kid, I would have been like, man, that hilarious scene where like the dude who was like flipping the sign and then like he was out of it and it was like cool. Like I would have done that. I'd have looked at my dad and gone, what was your favorite part? Because my favorite part, like, gotcha. Yeah.
So what was your favorite part?
I don't do that as an adult, Maya.
Mario.
Nice. Dude, I had a favorite part.
Okay.
Well, I'm not telling you. You're not telling me. I'm not telling you. That's how this works.
I don't do that anymore. This is the point I was getting at when I said that. I don't have the ability to go, what was my favorite part? I just go like, yeah, I really like that scene, or like that joke was hilarious. Like it just is a thing.
So you specifically, literally, like anytime you watch anything, you don't pick out a certain moment, and think, wow, I really thought that was awesome. It's probably the thing that stands out the most to me. That's the thing that I enjoyed the most.
Well, there's scenes that definitely stand out for sure. But in an hour and a half long movie, a 2 hour long movie, I don't think I pick a favorite part. I would say like one of the things that stands out in my mind when it comes to that movie is the whole idea of the great beyond and the great before being hypothetical. It's referred to as hypothetical 3 times in the movie, and I absolutely fucking love that. Like that kind of stuff sticks out in my mind. Or that like Joe, 22 found more enjoyment on Earth just eating a piece of pizza and watching a leaf fall from a tree than Joe did playing that song or playing that in that band. Like that stuff stands out to me. So, but I don't know if you can consider that a favorite part. That's all.
Well,
That's a favorite moment. I mean, I would consider that a moment that you favorited.
We can do that.
That's just me.
I don't have a problem with that. I wasn't looking at it from that perspective. That's all.
Gotcha. So, anything else we want to add to Soul?
I'm good.
Fucking half an hour rant. So,
I mean,
was that a rant?
No. Now, talking about Larry in the stand, that was a rant.
Look, tell me a story. God damn it. I need to know. I don't know how he likes his fucking eggs. It doesn't matter.
You learn a lot about somebody by the way they take their eggs, Greg. Just saying.
Like I'd rather watch. How do I put this succinctly? I'd rather watch that scene from Legion where the old lady calls that woman well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
You can say cunt.
Okay. I'd rather watch the scene where the old lady from Legion calls that woman a cunt than watch Larry have sex with fucking that woman again. So there's that.
But that was Roller Girl. That was Roller Girl.
Wait, what?
You mean it was Heather Graham? She played Roller Girl in Boogie Nights.
Oh,
And the first time that Dirk Diggler goes back to Burt Reynolds' pad, and
I've never seen Boogie Nights.
You've never seen Boogie Nights?
Nope.
Oh my God.
Anyway, there's this song that plays in Boogie Nights when she's fucking Mark Wahlberg, and it's got I got a brand new pair of roller skates. They played that song at the end of the episode. They played that at the end of the episode. And that's all
I've been hanging around now. You got something I need. Well, I got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key.
DCMA. DMCA, my bad. I said that wrong. My joke didn't work because I said it wrong. Anyway, by the way, I took that song at the end of the episode to be about Flag specifically, but it is interesting that they tied that in because I didn't know.
They totally tied it in, dude. You got to watch Boogie Nights, man.
It's on HBO.
It's on HBO. It's on HBO Max until tomorrow.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm not kidding.
All right, let's give a grade to Soul, shall we?
Oh, this is a great movie. I had a lot of heart. Had a nice message to it. And, the real takeaway is, for me, it's just live your fucking life. Enjoy your life. Nothing's guaranteed. Try to make the most of it. And I thought that was a wonderful message, and it's a great message for kids to get.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of stresses and pressures placed on kids these days. And like Madison, she gets so freaked out when she's doing her math homework and she can't understand a problem or she misses it the first time she tries it. She has a total mental breakdown and fucking starts crying, man. And
mine is the same way. And I'm like, honey, it's okay. It's just a mistake. That's how you learn. But they act like it's the end of the world.
Yes. Ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't fucking matter.
No. Because we all have pocket computers now. What the fuck do we need to know how to do math for?
My teacher was you won't have a calculator at all times. Well, we fucking screwed them wrong.
Right?
But yeah, I tell her, I was like, you're worried about so many things right now, and there's so much pressure on you from whatever this and that. Just slow down.
Yeah,
enjoy the day.
It was hard for us when we started homeschooling because hey, hold on a second. Get out. Get up. Get up here. Get up here. Stop rubbing on the Christmas tree. Get up here. Yeah, because we take it down on like January 1st. But yeah, she would literally break down in tears and, like hate herself for this. And it was taught
Yes.
to her by school. I mean, I had to
Yes.
work so hard and it's still not completely done. She still gets upset with herself, not to the way she did, thank God. But I was like, I cannot believe that they are making you feel this way when you're just trying to learn.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
Madison has literally balled up her fist and said, "I'm so stupid," and hit herself in the forehead.
Yes. Is that not insane? Oh my God.
That's what public education has done to my daughter. And
It's
I try to
bullshit.
tell her it's okay to be wrong.
Yep. Because as
It's
long
okay
as
to
you learn,
fail because failure is the best teacher.
yep, that's how you learn.
Ugh.
You fail and try and fail and try and fail and try again, until you get it right. It doesn't mean that you're stupid. It just means that, you haven't figured it out yet. Eventually you will. Yeah, math is, it's done some horrible things, man. But yeah, I do think that is a good message for kids to have. They do need to understand that, you don't have to be perfect to everything. That sometimes it actually, a lot of times it's okay to just stop and enjoy the world around you. Because there's so much out there that we don't see because we're all staring at cell phones or we're working on homework over time. And, there's so much around us that can make you happy. And the kids need to see that.
Yeah. Enjoy a slice of pizza while
Yes.
you're looking up at the sky and watching the leaves. I mean, that kind of shit. The takeaway from that, enjoy those moments.
There's a line that Joe says that I think is very important. And that's when one of the Terrys is giving him a second chance at life at the end of the movie. And she says,
It was one of the Jerry's. Terry was the accountant. Jerry's were everybody else.
Yeah, I've never remember that properly.
Well, there was Jerry, and then there was Jerry D. Those were the only ones by name. Everybody else was Jerry.
Well, it's the discrepancy between Terry and Jerry. I can't remember like two J names back to back, so my brain just goes, nope, that's not happening in there. Go fuck yourself.
One was Australian and one was from New Zealand.
The one that was, I think it was the accountant one, was voiced by Richard Ayoade. I could be wrong about that. I know that one of them was for sure because he's in the credits, but love Richard Ayoade. What was I gonna say? God damn it, my brain just like, nope. It was the line that Joe says. So she says, "What are you gonna do? Like, how are you gonna live your life?" And he says, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I do know that I'm gonna live every minute of it.
Yep.
And that to me is just, it's absolutely perfect. The perfect fucking line to me, because that's all any of us need to do, and that's why this movie gets an A+. Like, when he realized that life isn't about a purpose, like, I legit was teary-eyed. Like, I was legit, like, I was like, like the scene where he's at the piano and he's like putting all the parts up there that 22 collected while in his body. And I was just like, my whole fucking heart, I was just like, oh, the absolute existential pain.
So I love you. You're a good man, Greg. I love you.
Yeah,
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, I get teary eyed at everything. I'm an emotional wreck a lot of the time, but it's just, yeah, it was such a good movie, and to know that it caught you that way as well. Men don't need to be afraid to cry. Cry makes you feel better. I mean, and sometimes you need to cry, and that was definitely a cry-worthy movie. It was lovely. It was beautiful. I think I had a great message. I'd definitely give it an A. I'd give it an A+.
That was awesome. What about you, Maya? Did you say you were great? I didn't hear you.
I said an A.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
he was New Zealand. Yeah. Terry was voiced by Rachel House. from New Zealand.
Uh,
So I can pick up on them accents, eh?
yeah, a New Zealand accent is just a little different than an Australian accent.
Yeah, they replace the eyes with E's and the E's with eyes. It's like, put your dick away, put it back in your pants.
New
Nobody
Zealand
wants to see that.
That's a bucket list item for sure for me, is to go to New Zealand. But shall we move and shit on fucking Wonder Woman 1984?
Oh, this movie was fucking trash. Oh my fucking god!
So both of you have said that like Misty quit or wanted to quit 5 minutes in. Betty, you wanted to fucking quit 5 minutes in. To me, the good parts of the movie were the opening scene in their schema, whatever, and the mall sequence, and that's it.
Oh, you're being too kind.
I don't know. I guess, well, one of the things was it did remind me of, my childhood in the 80s, and it was not good. I was like, but it did not grab my attention. I think that the story could have been way better. They had a lot to work with. I don't think they did it justice. I really don't. Considering the first one, I really do not think they did it justice. And I think this was just like a play to say, oh, look at all the 90s shit and 80s shit that we know. And I was like, oh, you don't have to remind us, Why did they have to do this?
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know who it was exactly, but they were very like excited to be back in the 80s. I was like,
oh, fuck that shit. Nope.
I lived in the 80s. There were good things about the 80s as a kid, but I would never want to relive them.
Nope.
Well, there's a way to do it correctly, and I think Stranger Things does a fucking awesome example of showing that.
True.
I don't think that the 80s were necessarily a bad decade, but definitely like celebrating it in that way was super fucking weird.
Well, it happens a lot. It's like in the 90s, the 50s were celebrated. Girls wore poodle skirts and lace socks with high heels. It was so weird. Yeah, I mean, we recycle fashion. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
The neon was, whoa. My eyes were hurting
everywhere.
It was insane. I was like, why are we watching this again? Oh yeah. Because
that's the thing is, I don't mind an 80s aesthetic. I don't mind an 80s setting, but this show was like, look at the fashion, look at the art, look at everything, look at the big hair. I'm like, why? Why are you doing
that? If we weren't reviewing this, I would have shut it off.
Oh yeah.
See, that's
I hated it.
So let me, before we get into the actual garbage of this movie, which we will get to, why were the two scenes that I thought were the most watchable not watchable for you two?
Oh, this whole movie is unwatchable.
It just felt cheap. It really felt cheap. The whole scene that they were doing in the first part, I mean, she was trying to be a badass little girl, and she was succeeding very well. But my God, even the costumes looked bad. I mean, they didn't even look like real. They looked like they were made by, Face Off plastic. It was bad.
I don't necessarily agree with you on that.
The effects were not very polished, and that's the least complaint that I have. It's just the plot of this movie was a fucking turd. It was just bad. I'm sorry.
Was there a plot?
I can honestly say, like, I've thought about this movie for the past few days because I was like trying to figure out what they did wrong, because I couldn't place it. Like, after watching it, I give credence to a lot of DC. DC to me is very like, we don't really have a reason for things happening; they just happen. All DC is like this. I don't care. You can sit there and argue with me until you're blue in the face. I've read enough DC, watched enough DC. I give DC more leniency when it comes to telling their stories, because 9 times out of 10, there is something that's happening that does not have a reason or explanation, and it just happens. So that's why I was like, solid 7 out of 10. I thought that the action sequences were fine because they very much wanted to make kind of a call like that. The mall sequence. It was very clear that everything was done with wires. Very clear that everything was done with wires. It wasn't very CGI heavy. And I appreciated that. I was like, oh shit, it's like, it's all very, what is it called? There's a word I'm looking for that's not coming off the top of my head, but it was all practical. There we go. It was all practical. And I really appreciate that. When it comes to filmmaking, I loved seeing practical stuff. And the scene in Theraschema was very practical too. So I really enjoyed that. That was nice to see. That sequence in the mall definitely was a callback to the old Wonder Woman show in a lot of ways. So that's why I appreciated that. But once it started getting to the stuff with the wishes, it didn't make any sense. There was no consistency with the wishes at all. And I said to myself, this is DC. DC does this shit all the time. Oh, well, no big deal. But then as I thought about it, I was like, the first movie didn't do this. And that's all you really need to watch this movie is the first movie. So why did they go this route?
I don't know, but I woke up 5:30, 6 o'clock Christmas morning. Madison was excited, wanted to open up her stuff. As soon as we got done doing that, I was like, hey, let's watch Wonder Woman. I might as well. And I watched it, and I hadn't been online yet. And I'm just like, And then as soon as I got done watching it, I was Misty's like, oh, that sounded awful. I was like, how much of it did you watch? She's like, I walked out the first 5 minutes. And I was just like, it was so fucking bad. I was like, I was looking forward to it because I loved the first one. I was looking forward to it. This was bad, just bad. Fucking wishes. I said, I wish that this movie was good.
I love a good monkey paw wish story. Like, I really fucking do.
I don't.
I
don't. Well, honestly, I'd never heard that term until this movie. I'd never.
Really?
Wow.
No, I'd never heard that term before.
Did you watch X-Files?
I'm sorry?
Did you watch X-Files? There's a whole episode on that.
It's a very old story.
Yeah, the monkey paw. Yeah, like two things. I grew up on Aladdin, so I always like fantasized about having wishes as a kid. And then when I got older, I found out about like an evil genie that would like grant your wish, but you got something negative in return.
You can ask for something, but you're never going to get exactly what you asked for. They're going to turn it around.
I actually
in fantasy it's a djinn. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You get that. Yeah. The fact that she actually called it a monkey paw wish in this movie was fucking atrocious. I was like, if I'm in a movie if there's a story that has to do with a theme, don't actually call that fucking theme out. What are you doing? Just have it happen.
Yeah, I just never heard the term. I'm familiar with the concept. I just never heard the term. So it was like, monkey paw wish. What the fuck?
Oh, I fucking love monkey paw. Like there was a whole Goosebumps book on it too. But yeah, the general idea of that idea I really like. But the problem with this story, the problem with this script, that it was inconsistent on what you gave up.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, and we're going full spoilers, we're not going to go over the entire plot. I'm just going to tell you what fucking sucked about this movie. Max Lord should have lost his son. That should have been the thing he gave up for his wish to be able to be the stone. Because why was it his health? It didn't make any sense. It was clear that he could gain his health back. So why... It never seemed like Max's thing that he cared about the most was his health. Why did Trevor come back into a person's body? Like, why was Diana just fucking cool, like just totally okay with like raping a guy? Why did Barbara gain Wonder Woman's powers. She wished to be like Diana, not be like Wonder Woman. Shit like that doesn't make any fucking sense at all.
Yeah.
And the inconsistency of what everyone
mess.
The inconsistency of what everyone gave up also doesn't make a lot of sense. Since when was it ever established that Diana's most prized possession was her powers? Since when was it established that Max Lord's like thing he cared about the most was his health when he clearly gave a bigger fuck about his son? Why didn't Max Lord suffer any consequences? Why did the Middle East suddenly look like a fucking apartheid and that their only water source was a river? Like, there was proper civilization in the Middle East in the fucking 80s. What the fuck is this? Again,
Shit.
The script is absolute garbage, and it took me 2 days to figure out why, and it's because Jeff fucking Johns wrote it.
I mean, you can't blame it all on Jeff Johns. I mean,
I will.
But, I mean, there were more people at the punch bowl stirring those turds around than Jeff Johns. I mean, say what you will, Patty Jenkins is a fantastic director.
Yeah,
but she directed a stinker this time.
Well, that's another thing that kills me is that the acting wasn't bad in this movie. It was actually well done.
I think Pedro was a little over the top at times, but I know his character was supposed to be.
Yeah. I think Pedro acted the way he was told to act for that role.
Yeah. But, oh, man. It was painful to fucking watch.
But that's my problem with this, is it was inconsistent and didn't make a fucking lick of sense. My biggest argument is that you can have some magic mumbo jumbo in your movie if it has a reason for existing. If there's a pattern and a path for that mumbo jumbo to go, stick with that rule. Don't break that rule because you want to for the sake of a plot. Stick to that rule. And this movie failed at that at every fucking possible turn.
I agree.
It's bad. It's fucking horrible.
Like, there's just so absolute much that fails at this movie that it's unfathomable. Like, the scene that sticks out in my brain that even at the time I was like, wait, what the fuck? Was, hey, so we need this caravan of cars that Wonder Woman is currently fighting to have a reason for Wonder Woman to need to stop the whole caravan. How about kids playing in the middle of the road? In the middle of the fucking what? Was God. A lot of the stuff too seemed very ham-fisty. Like failing to do a magic trick. I'll give you an example of a good magician. Steven Spielberg. Hey, look over here, look over here, look over here. Ignore this giant plot hole. But look over here. And that's Jurassic Park. Everyone.
These results.
I'm sorry, Google. Did you hear me say Google? What the fuck?
Hey Google, what the fuck?
That scared the hell out of me. So, all right. So, in the first Jurassic Park movie, what a lot of people kind of never picked up on when watching it the first time, a few people did. My dad apparently did, but I certainly didn't. And I know a lot of people found out about it later. They were like, what? The scene where the T-Rex shows up for the first time, it's walking on straight land, and then the scene happens, and then suddenly there's no land there, and the fucking Jeep gets to fall over a cliff. That is a good magician telling a scene and a story while having a massive plot not a plot hole, but an inconsistency with the shot. And people don't notice because it's so interesting. That's a good magician. Wonder Woman was like a series of bad magicians. Like, it was insane. It was absolutely insane to watch this movie and just like watching it going, how did that happen? How did you get there? How did that doesn't. There's just so much that I was just like, and then the fucking trope of like the nerdy person that becomes popular and strong and all that kind of shit. Like, can we stop? We just stop. It's we've seen it. Like,
but
that was
it's so effective.
So
Wonder Woman, 10 things I hate about you.
I broke
Woman 84 things I hate.
People pointed out a plot that would have been more consistent and better in regards to a story about Wonder Woman. Because let's be honest, the story wasn't so much about Wonder Woman. It was about Max Lord, and Wonder Woman just happened to be there fawning over a guy, which doesn't make any sense to her fucking character to begin with. It would have been a better story, and stick with me here. This was somebody else's idea, and I think it was a really good idea. If it was more about Wonder Woman coming to terms with the fact that she's like not aging at all, and that she not only befriends Barbara, but she gains an attractive relationship with her. They become a couple, if you will. They start dating, and this has the inclusivity of bisexual people or just lesbians or whatever, and Barbara does find the wishing stone, or whatever the fuck it was, the dream stone, I think is what they called it. And she does wish for Trevor to come back, and Trevor just comes back. He's not a part of whatever, he just comes back. This causes Barbara to become a jilted lover, and she seeks out a way to gain powers and abilities, to which she does, becoming the Cheetah, or just Cheetah. And
so funny.
And you can still have the whole aspect of like her, like Wonder Woman coming with the terms with that Steve's not real, that the wishing stone only gave her what she wanted because it made her feel better, but she actually it's causing her problems, and you could have made the story about fucking Wonder Woman. Like, I'm flabbergasted that this script passed by anybody.
I'm flabbergasted at a lot of scripts pass by. A lot of times I'm like, did nobody say anything? Somebody had to have said something, but nope, they don't.
I think this is classic symptom of the first movie being so successful that they gave the sequel, or they gave the people who made the first one way too much wiggle room with the sequel. And it's actually coming out that maybe they don't know how to tell a story.
Right.
Well, like I said before we recorded, the first Wonder Woman movie was essentially a copy of Captain America. I mean,
I said more or less.
So
it was. I'll say this: I think the first Wonder Woman movie was like a mix of Captain America and Thor.
Yeah, that's fair. Because, she is essentially a demigod / fish out of water, but who also, leads a team of commandos in World War I instead of 2. I mean,
yeah. I don't know. Like, I can't think of anything else that was bad about this movie, but it was just.
I can't think of a single good thing about this movie.
I mean, I can, but it's in the first 20 minutes. So literally, this movie starts falling apart and breaking down after the Wish Stone is fucking introduced. Honestly,
yeah. Up until the end, it's like, okay, we might have a good movie on our hands, maybe. Then that happens, and it's like, nope, just go ahead, back that turd truck up, dump it in that big old punch bowl there. Just beep, beep, beep. Stir it all around. Oh, you want to stir too? Here, stir some. It's just bad.
Like, I criticize the other DCEU movies. I criticize Batman vs. Superman. I criticize Man of Steel. I criticize Justice League. All of those are much fucking better than 1984.
Yeah, to me, this was Suicide Squad level bad.
Still haven't seen that.
I mean, I hated Suicide Squad. And I didn't watch the Birds of Prey and Harley Quinn movie, the sequel that they did.
Nope,
Yeah, I haven't
haven't
seen
seen
that
it.
And I won't watch it because I
But that's-
know it's bad.
That's my
This
big
is
thing
that
about.
bad.
Yeah, that's my big thing about the DC movies, and I don't know if you feel the same. It sounds like you feel the same, but I'm just not excited to see them anymore. This was the first one I was excited to see in a long fucking time.
I did love Aquaman.
Still haven't seen that either.
I love Aquaman.
I did not.
Well, Aquaman's my favorite hero from DC Comics. I'm like one of the 8 people out there that like him.
I don't understand the hate he gets because he's not just like he can talk to fish. He's much more than that. But
It wasn't that. I mean, it's like I'm not hating on Aquaman. I just thought the movie was shit.
that's fair.
Yeah.
I was talking about the character because the joke throughout time is that, especially amongst comic book fans, is like he's a shit superhero because all he can do is talk to fish. Basically, how he's treated in The Boys is how like actual comic book fans think of Aquaman.
Yeah. I mean, it had Jason Momoa in it, and I love Jason Momoa, but I still hated that fucking
Who the
movie.
fuck doesn't?
I really wish that they had cast the guy that played his brother in the movie, Patrick Wilson. I wish they had cast him as Aquaman instead of Jason Momoa. Because no offense, Jason Momoa, you're not a great actor.
Oh, I think
He's
he's.
not.
Have you seen Frontier?
I haven't.
Oh, it's good.
The extent that I've seen Jason Momoa in, I've seen him in the Justice League movie, Aquaman, and half a season of Game of Thrones he was in.
Frontier takes place in, I think, like the 1700s, up in like near Canada in the Hudson Bay area. And he's a trapper, and he's half Native American and half Irish. And he plays a badass motherfucker, and he is good. I mean, there's like 3 seasons of it. It was amazing.
Okay.
I was also going to say that you don't really have to be a good actor when you're as pretty as Jason Momoa. So
He is
he
a
is
pretty
pretty.
son of a bitch.
He's so pretty.
Son of a bitch. Well, okay. Wonder Woman 84 is fucking awful. To save yourself 2.5 hours of your life. Don't watch it.
I do we give it a
give
grade?
it a D.
Oh wow, that high?
That's just because of the cameo with Linda Hamilton at the end.
I mean, Linda Carter.
I'm sorry, yeah. Carter,
That's what
sorry.
You know, this movie could have done
Terminator.
Yeah.
could have done some crossover with Terminator. I'll tell you what. I'm
Got
also
my
giving it a
lenses
D.
mixed up.
I'm giving it a D because I really enjoyed the 2 opening sequences. I thought they were fun, so that's why I'm giving it a D instead of like a fucking F. But
I'm giving it an F for fuck this train wreck. It's bad. I hate it. On a scale of 0 to 10, I would give it a -2.
wow, that's
Yeah, Jeff's been watching the IMDb ratings since we watched it, and they just keep going down.
oh yeah,
it was certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes for about a half a day.
yeah.
Once people started watching it, ooh.
Uh,
Everything
But I
that
do
Gregg
think that
listed
the
and
little
everything
girl
that
who
she
played her has potential in the future.
Oh yeah, no doubt there. You know, the actors themselves did what they were told to do. It was just
You
everything
can't help it. You're in a shitty movie.
was shit. Yeah,
again, I cannot stress enough the thing that sucked about this movie, hands down.
well, the script was the biggest problem.
The script was the literal only problem. Because, again, like you said, Patty Jenkins can direct. That's very clear. She can direct.
Yeah, but she's got to have
so much.
Well, I'm glad to see we're all in agreement here.
It's nice to hate on something together, guys.
yeah.
Oh God.
Bad.
I think the other thing that makes this so bad for a lot of people is that the first one was so good. The expectations were understandably high.
This is like, it came out on Christmas morning. This is like, oh yes, I can't wait to unwrap my presents, and you get a used cat litter box. It's already full. Fuck, what am I going to do with this shit?
I think that's what Maya was getting at, by the way, was that I progressively kept giving the score a lower and lower score over a day.
Well, if y'all do want to laugh, check out Star Trek on CBS All Access, the cartoon.
Oh, Under Decks?
Yeah,
Lower
that is
Lower
fucking
Decks.
hilarious. That's definitely worth watching. It's better than Discovery, in my opinion.
My dad and I, we still need to watch that and Discovery because we would like to watch the Star Treks together. So
I like Star Trek, but when I watched Discovery, I was like, no, I watched like half an episode. I'm like, this is not for me. This is not the Star Trek I remember.
no, that's understandable. I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fan of Star Trek or Discovery either, but I can't give that opinion unless I see it, you know?
It's like everybody's trying to J.J. Abrams shit nowadays, and I'm just like over it.
Just throw some lens flare on it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with
lens flare and a Beastie Boys soundtrack.
I really like the Fast and the Furious Star Trek like series. It doesn't bother me, but yeah, if you're doing a Star Trek show that takes place in the same universe as Next Generation and all the other shows, like don't make it like the Abrams verse. That's unnecessary.
Yeah, the cartoon's hilarious. They were talking about celebrating Picard Day. I was like, that's so fucking awesome. I want a Picard Day. We need to make a Picard Day. I mean, that man should be celebrated while he's still alive. Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, no.
Has my heart, man. I've had a crush on him since I was a teenager and watching Next Generation. I've always liked older men.
No, Picard's great. Picard's great. Patrick Stewart's great. Like, I don't understand why people hated Picard, but whatever.
Because he's damn sexy.
I wasn't aware that people
jealous.
Oh my god, dude! Like the second that I went online and was like, "Picard's really good," I got like a few people, friends specifically, commenting me. Like, "That's kind of shit. It's not Star Trek."
Have you seen the new show with Picard?
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's the show.
Oh, I loved it. I fucking loved it.
Yeah,
I can't. Here. I hope they have a second season because I thought it was great. Data's gained a little weight, but it happens. I don't know how androids do that, but cool. But yeah, I mean, Picard, he's amazing. I don't know how you can hate on him.
Bulkier model.
Then again, do you ever just like, you've got a show that you like on YouTube or something, and they're just amazing. They're really good people, like Philip DeFranco. People come on there and dislike shit, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? How do you dislike this? What's going through your head? I just don't understand. People are weird.
Yeah, that's the thing I've learned over time is that you're never going to please everybody 100%.
Absolutely, some people just want to be pissed off. Right. I've come to that realization. Some people are just not happy unless they're pissed off about something.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and I get like Star Wars is such an interesting thing for me right now because I love Star Wars. I'll always love Star Wars, and I'm critical of Star Wars. We had a very brief conversation on this podcast about how classic Star Wars is very sexist, and how can you tell it was sexist without watching the movies and knowing it? Because look at the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are more. I will say this: there are more Star Wars fans that aren't like that. We're just quiet. We just enjoy Star Wars and shut the fuck up. But there was a situation that happened over the weekend. It might have been rolled into Monday too, but Pablo Hidalgo, who works at Lucasfilms, made a joke on a guy on YouTube. His name is Star Wars Theory, and he's a typical fucking Star Wars fanboy, like very annoying, very obnoxious.
Can't stand his channel.
Me either. But he uploaded a video of him like crying at Luke showing up at the end of Mandalorian. Are
you fucking kidding me? Yeah, that was not cry-worthy.
Not crying at Grogu and
that
scene.
That was cry-worthy.
Luke showing up, that is not cry-worthy.
No.
What kind of pretentious douche canoe fucking cries at that?
So Pablo Hidalgo
wants attention.
Pablo Hidalgo made a joke saying, emotions aren't to be shared, is what he said. It was very dry, but it's his typical like fucking style of comedy. And all of these fucking like hardcore fanboy assholes just started attacking Pablo on Twitter to the point he had to delete his Twitter account. He was like, I'm not fucking dealing with this.
Bless his heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I tell my kid, and I remind myself all the time, you got to be careful what you say on the internet. People will come back and use it against you. Doesn't matter if it was 20 years ago. They'll dig that shit up, man.
Yeah, that is my biggest critique about Pablo doing that was like, maybe not to the Star Wars fan base, bud. Like, you maybe should have thought about that before you said it. I get it was not, malicious in intent, but they're not going to fucking pick up on that.
Well, that's why they're Star Wars fans, because they don't pick up on subtlety and context.
Yeah, no shit. Ugh. But yeah, so like, the thing that I've noticed about the Star Wars fandom that drives me absolutely nuts is that they bond over their hatred of something in Star Wars. And that to me is so toxic. So
that is toxic. Bonding over something you hate, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. That being said, Wonder Woman's a piece of shit.
We all hate it.
1984.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
All right. That's
So somebody hit that motherfucker. You see that Twisted Tea video this weekend?
Yes. Fucking hilarious.
Have you seen it?
Oh no! My sister emailed me. She's like, "What is up with all this Twisted Tea and Rudy Giuliani?" I was like, "I have no idea. I really don't. I haven't been on the internet that much this weekend." So.
Oh my god! Yeah. After we wrap up here in a minute, you got to see this.
Yeah, send it to me. I gotta see this.
Pretty funny.
I used to drink Twisted Teas, but they have way too many calories.
Greg, did you see the one where they said it to Dave Matthews?
Yes, I did. That's actually the first time I saw that video.
Okay.
I didn't see it prior to that because it wasn't like a huge thing on Twitter. But then I went to Facebook and I saw all of you in the fucking realm making all these memes. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, I'm just like, what is going on right now? Is this real life?
It's pretty funny.
So confused.
Well, guys, that's going to do it for us today. This is a little bit longer of an episode because we did have quite a few things to talk about. But next week is going to be interesting. We're going to be talking about episode 3 of The Stand, which again you can find on CBS All Access, and we're going to have a discussion about representation in media. And this is a broad statement. This isn't like one specific group. This is how you can basically have representation in your movies without feeling like A, it's ham-fisted, or B, that it's pandering, or that it's inoffensive. So we're going to have that discussion, which I think is a great discussion. Betty, thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. But make sure you follow us on all socials, everybody, which are listed below, including our new Twitch channel, which again hopefully will stream this Saturday, which will be tomorrow after this episode goes up. But I don't have anything going on this Saturday. Do you two?
Yeah, I'm not going to be home.
I'll be home, but I won't be home on the 2nd.
Yeah, that's Saturday the 2nd. I'm going to be over in Abingdon or Bristol.
Oh shoot! I thought that was the 1st. Yeah, I'm going to be in. Okay. I'm going to be in Abingdon at my shop. My friend from Connecticut is driving her son down to college, and I haven't seen her in like years. So we're going to meet up and social distance in the shop.
Awesome. Well, then, not this Saturday, obviously, but, in the future, we'll try to get
there.
Yeah, we'll get to there. But yeah, go and follow that, yada, yada. We also we have all this new merch that you can find on, God, I can't remember the website. Maya, help me out here.
Teespring.
I don't want to say Redbubble. Yeah, you can find all the new merch over there, which is T-shirts, mugs, so on and so forth, with the new art by William Fong. Right? I said that name correctly?
You did.
Yeah, there we go.
Put our faces on your body.
Yup. Or a mug. I need to buy a mug. I really want to buy a mug. Hey, when I get that money from the government.
Shit.
But yeah, you can go do that. Other than that, Maya, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Facebook under my name. It's a public profile. So if you want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you can do so. It's linked there. As for other shows you can catch me on 2 shows on the Realm of Collectors YouTube channel every other Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on Figure Banging. New episode this week. And then live on Friday nights at 9 on Nerd Life Syndicate. And we'll have our first show of the new year, first Realm show of the new year, coming on tonight at 9. So if you're
busy girl.
I know. If you're into nerd and pop culture related stuff, come by and hang out in the chat. It's a fun time. That's me. Where are you at, Biddy?
Where I usually am, sitting on the throne in hell. Betty Badger Ogletree on Facebook and Bright Betty on Twitter. That's where I am when I'm not on the throne of hell.
You find me on all socials under Chubb Rock Geek. And I did a new episode of the Mission Start podcast with my good friend Anthony. We decided to do like a year in review sort of episode. It's not going to be a reoccurring thing. We talked about maybe doing like twice a year, getting together and just doing an episode just for shits and giggles. But yeah, it was fun. We talked about like what our favorite things were in the year and what we've been up to, and it's a nice little get together. So if that's something you're interested in, go check that out. Also, I'm going to be doing basically what I talked about in the beginning of this episode with our YouTube channel having individual reviews. I'm going to be trying to do the same thing on the Mission Start the Mission Start YouTube channel, with individual reviews of video games. So I'm going to start with Immortals Phoenix Rising, and go from there, because I meant to do this all this year, but God, no, there's just too much this year. But yeah, so go check that out if you want to. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you watch episode 3 of The Stand. If you're not watching The Stand, it's fine, I guess, but it's a pretty good show. I think so far, regardless of what Maya wants to tell you.
Hater.
I'm not the one that was hating on Larry.
You were hating on me.
Hater.
No, not at all.
But yeah,
hey, if you want to just wait, you can get a free week of CBS All Access. Just wait until all 9 episodes are out. If you don't want to pay get your free trial and watch it in a week and be done with it.
Just binge it.
Yeah, I did that with Ted Lasso on Amazon or Apple TV. So
I think every smart person who wants to watch the show has done that at one point or another.
Oh yeah,
I think I've almost used up all my free trials on Amazon Prime.
I think there's people that I know that create new
email addresses every time. Yeah.
Yep.
Done it.
So well, guys, we're gonna head out.
Yep.
Peace, love, and Polypops. We will talk to you later.
She just stole your thunder, Greg.
No, it's fine. It's totally fine.
Okay.
I was already kind of done. I was just going to say, join us next week then.
All right. Well, then fucking take care, everybody.